In daylight if, after we spend this night. Ultimately of this, palm of hand, anything curved around, any staff, binding, from this one has protection, also like all, wholly continually in all manner, completely, by crown. Of this, and within any palm of hand, bent and or curved around, or open, any staff, anything thrown, made, within any hand, also like instrument, tool, saltery, ultimately of this arm, then, if taken to any hand, thrust together, all of that away from this, anointed tent peg, hook to secure, anything away from this, trail, head in person, from this beginning, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, also like thing, carved, fashioned, frame. See experience, understand cover, this staff, goal, control toward protection, and authority bound. This leading and teaching, deed, arm thrust, to physically observe this palm, and from this palm of hand to tame, also like over, beside, offer, as if a staff, all with no goal, control toward authority, binding, of and with no, chief, also like no, not, denied objectively, depreciated, as any hand, away from this, arm, thrust, deed to, physically observe, if anything, thrust not on this trail, on and of his side, not of his staff, goal, authority of this one has protection, teaching, leadership, in and of this tent wall, separated also like to prosper, succeed, advance, and securely, a hook to secure, anything away from this, tent peg, anointed to, connect, tame, subdue, allowed this staff by this authority, goal, to bind, teach, also like all, wholly continually in all manner, completely, by crown. Any as if a staff, and not this goal, of this authority, control toward protecting, binding, to lead, teach. Anything divided from this, not facing this front, consumed, bitten, off from this, anointed peg, heir and sons, offspring of Nkkhchah's given kingdom of life, that which Nkkhchah's light shines on, thus snakes, also like of tongue, used in lapping, in thirst, can produce dumbness, a babbler. If when away from this, covenant, mark, sign, and signature, strength of day, sun on this horizon, line, and to encompass, this, Father, he, it, adds, an anointed tent peg, hook to secure, blood, water, from this, mighty lifted up sea, also like a rose stood, to establish, any and all as if a staff, not of this, goal, authority, control toward this, binding lead, from this lifted up, unknown sea, this blood and water to face this front, any and all things broken, destroyed, changed, split, from this mouth, word, command, thus snakes, away from this, surrounding, storing containment, also like any as if decision, judging any act of deciding a case, goes to Nkkhchah. And of by this, covenant, mark, sign, signature, identification of people, place, thing, strength of this, head and person, from this beginning, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, facing frontward, in all anything. Divided from then, pressed away from this, thrust arm, deed to physically observe, to see, watch, put into, experience, heed, understand, this cover, this arm, and hand made. Deed to physically observe, also like condemn, show wickedness, guilt, injustice, unrighteousness, violation. In of ultimately this, palm of hand opened, which subdues, tamed, allows, from authority. This staff, protection, leading, and teaching, also like in, all, every, wholly, entirely, totally. A palm of this palm of hand, opened, bent, to curve, tamed, inside this tent wall, also like strength, might, ability, force, efficiency. A foot, to carry, as a camel, causing movement. Inside this family house, tent floor plan, nail hook to secure, added for this connection anointed, to this head and person, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, life and breath, revealed in man also like might, strength, valor. Inside this family house, tent floor plan, with him, it, see, heating, experience, understand, this cover of this staff, goal, control toward authority, protection, binding, to, lead, teach, also like, with YHUH, upon, beside, above. This onlooker, beholder, breath life inside this tent wall, separated, sickled as harvest of this crown. Food to feed, made ready by day, this sun on this horizon. Line to, gather to this, Father, encircling, also like to fasten, obstinacy, taken hold of, this ox, strength of me from this chief, as a seed, offspring of this kingdom of life, that which ye hues light shines on, to continue from this palm of hand, open, and this hand thrust, to physically observe this deed, also like I, me. As a staff, when with no goal, no control toward authority, not binding of this chief, also like not, denied objectively, not good, not YH or of, YHUH, all absolutely away from this. Mark, covenant, sign, signature, and identification of people, place, thing. See this, heed, it, and understand, all things away from this, cover, facing forward, consumed, broken, destroyed, away from this, repeated, sharpened sun, sun on this horizon, day in line, to gather, to this father, also like to extort, exploit, wrong, any of this, chief of this sign, mark, and covenant, identification of people, place, thing, also like of self, per se, sibi ipsi, mark, sign. Of this, head and person, from this beginning, topmost rule, oxen, strengths, leaders, of this fence, also like another fellow, and hook to secure, connected to this tent peg, anointed staff with a goal, to control toward authority, bound by this chief, also like cannot, not, denied objectively, not good, not yu, or of yhua, prohibited, of by this mark, covenant sign of, or to any of this signature, identification of people, place, thing, strength, to ever try to, walk, off with, try any weapon, ever try to, overturn food, harvest made ready, by this, crown, authority, staff, and goal, control toward binding protection, this lead, and teaching, also like try to, rob, plunder, pluck off, flay. As a staff with no control toward authority, this goal, bound by this, chief, also like cannot, no, not, denied objectively, not good, not hum, or of yah, prohibited, any of this, mark, sign, covenant strength, identification of people, place, thing, of this authority, protected of this bounded arm, and deed, thrust, as and for handiwork, in continuation, of this YHUH given kingdom, of life, that which YEHUA's light shines on. Also like any lodging, remaining, dwelling, to abide, to grumble. All of this, mouth word blown, to speak as an edge, sword command, have an eye to see, watch, heed, this cover, appearance of this staff, goal, authority, binding, this leading, teaching, of this mark, sign, covenant, signature, also like reward, this deed, of deed, won back by this hand, divided from and facing this front, repeated and sharpened by this palm of hand, and subdued to tame, allowed by and through this, arm thrust, deed, that physically observed, to physically observe this head in person, from this beginning, topmost rule, first possession, and inheritance, also like hired worker, hired servant, sucker, and not of this, tent peg, anointed, staff of authority and goal, control toward this binding, leadership and teaching of this word, blown command as a sword of from and for this, YHUH given kingdom of life, that which YHUH's light shines light on, offspring, air arm, and deed thrust, also like face, countenance, turned toward one, under an eye or oversight of, if away from an eye to see, experience heeding, to understand, this cover, tent peg, anointed of this, head and person, from this, beginning, topmost rule, first possession, and inheritance, also like inability to see, dullness, unreceptive, person, not of this, staff, goal, control toward protection, authority binding, leading, and teaching, chief power, of this chief, also like not, denied objectively, not good, not yhua, or of yhu, not inhabited, if ever at all to as if another any mark, sign, not this covenant, mark, signature, identification of people, place, thing, of this you given kingdom, of life, that which YHUH's light shines on, also like given, to give, put, set, give graciously, grant. Then not of this, lifted up sea, of unknown, might, blood, rather of that, tumult, blemish, chaos, of that many people, away from this, palm of hand, to subdue, then consumed, split, not facing this front, control toward this, staff, goal, authority, leader, teaching, binding, to protect, also like stumbling block, into scruple, offense, those overthrown.